So, hey there. This is PAX East Day 2 on Friday. My name's Evan Griffin with youngfolks.com, and we're here with Rebekah from Finji, which is the publisher of Overland and also one of our personal favorite games right now on our whole website staff, Night in the Woods. So we're just going to ask you a few questions.
Good.
We appreciate you taking the time with us. So, first off, what games are you specifically showcasing this week that you want people to know about?
Yeah, for sure. I've actually got 3 games here. Night in the Woods, which is already out. We're showcasing it like with our PlayStation 4 demo. We also have Overland, which is currently in our first access, and that is a turn-based survival strategy, which actually we're developing internally. So I publish games and I make games. And then we're also showcasing Tunic, which is coming out after Overland. We have a really fun short demo to sort of give you a little taste of the like cute fox in a small world action adventure. So good. Oh, it's so good.
And what about publishing on itch.io comparatively to Steam, with that being a new up-and-coming platform?
Oh yeah, so a little bit of context. We have Overland out on itch.io, and there's like a kind of a long development story with that, but we're developing a strategy game, and developing a strategy game sort of like in a tunnel with their blinders on means you're probably not paying a lot of attention to UI, because when you make UI, you kind of like, you know how it works. But when you're sort of changing UI, which we've done with Overland, we needed to have access to players who are passionate about the strategy genre, needed to have the game right now, and were willing to play this in like an alpha program. The game was funded, so we actually didn't need the revenue from something like early access. And my company is very, very small. And when you put a game out on early access, you end up with, especially because we've made games before, we were going to end up with too many players too fast, and we had no ability to manage expectations. And that means like we break save games all the time, and like if you break a save game on like Steam early access, I mean the wrath of hell will come down upon you.
It's done
from your players. Yeah, you can't do that. So yeah, we actually talked to Itch because we wanted to start out selling just a few copies at once to sort of ramp up and onboard people slowly. We talked to Leaf and Amos over at Itch, and they just sort of built this thing for us, and because we bring our own audience to Itch. So for value for us, it's been like, I couldn't develop this game over the last 2.5 years without Itch, and we have over 5,000 just like amazing strategy players who are just like digging into Overland, and they're telling their own stories, and they're having these close calls, and also, God bless all of them, not getting angry at us when we like just change the UI and break their save files, and we have hilarious bugs with giant dogs and
it's all
textures
very specific stuff getting changed.
Oh God, yeah, and yeah, it's getting so close. Like, we have so much of the game that we just haven't shown publicly yet. But yeah, I mean, we have like the first 4 regions just like out right now.
Now, as far as aesthetically in the game goes, what sets your version of post-apocalypse America, which is a very common thing, apart from all the others?
Adam and I are like giant genre film nerds.
Yeah.
Like super, but we also read a lot of genre fiction.
Yes.
And like one of the things that's, there's a couple things actually about our particular game, but the first one is we really like the Roadside Picnic, which is like a book written, it's a sci-fi book written in like the 70s-ish by some Russian brothers. And it's really dirty, it's really gritty, it's like what happens when humans are put in this extraordinary situation, but it's like a sci-fi thing. So it's not about like they save the world, it's like black markets and like these communities that grow up that sort of are like beneath the law, kind of
like the weird little economics of it.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. So we'd been reading that, and we saw Stalker, which I saw as a kid, odd movie to see as a child, but I saw it again as an adult, kind of in that same time frame. And then at the time we were also playing a tremendous amount of Pandemic, like a lot of Pandemic, and we started talking about why I, as a player, I love strategy board games. I love Pandemic specifically.
I love Pandemic.
Oh my God. And like the idea of like arguing with people like is a really, really pleasing, like I'm not argumentative, but like arguing in like a cooperative way is like a really fun way for me to play. And we started talking about why I bounce really hard off of something like XCOM, which is like, I think XCOM came out 2014-ish, like that. Yeah. That there was one, maybe that year, or maybe 2013. This is actually, I think it was 2013. But I was watching Adam play that, and I was like, man, I like the game. I like the idea of the game. I like all the pieces of it, I'm like, but I'm bouncing really hard off of this.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it has
It's like
guns.
there's
It's not
like
really
this
my jam.
wall that you're not getting.
Yeah, as we started talking, about like why do I like strategy board games versus strategy video games, and I don't like most of them. I don't like. It's not I don't like them. I bounce off them really hard as a player. And kind of what came out of that is Adam's obsession with UI and our obsession of making a hardcore strategy game accessible.
Yeah.
And like, meaning like people like me who bounce off of other strategy genre because of topic, because of UI, because of there's just digital noise on the screen.
Yeah.
Like how do we pull that out and hide those pieces?
How do you make it readable, understandable?
Yeah.
You know, that's like always one of the things that stood out to me about Skyrim. Like I think that's probably how it was as successful as it was, is a very straightforward, understandable UI.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of a good goal to have with something that's such a grand concept.
Well, in strategy has this thing of like, well, it needs to be complex, and it is. Like the systems are a nightmare to design. But like as a player, it doesn't have to be like opaque. Like when you approach it, you should be able to like look at it and it's legible. It needs to be legible.
Right.
And like that's been a focus for our team, is to make a situation where anyone who approaches it can, one, have depth of play. So like a new person can come in and have a lot of fun with the game, but also somebody who plays these like, dwarf fortress, like just deep level dives of like crazy, also have a lot of fun with something.
There's that customizability.
Yeah, and like we call that depth of play. But yeah, so we come at it from like multiple like angles to be like, can we onboard somebody, and can we help them get better? But also, can we have somebody who's like pretty hardcore in the genre also go through and be like, oh man, this is great. And a lot of people like walk up and be like, well, this looks really simple, and I'm like, burn it down, sweetheart.
Now, that being said, with that, what's on your to-do list right now that's like seems to be
good
one
Lord.
of the... Yeah.
My to-do list is longer than this convention center.
Well, as far as Overland at this point in time.
So we're like about a year from launch. Like I'm probably going to be done with the game this year, but it'll be done kind of in the fallish, which I can't launch it. I'm indie. I can't launch in the fall or the winter. So I'll hold it until next spring. The nice thing is it's paid for. So like I can sort of pick the best launch date for the game.
That's good. So you got the pressure to build it as it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've been building it for years, but like we just brought on a new programmer, and we're doing like sort of the big giant code refactor so we can start our console port, and so.
Now, I know you don't have a whole lot for us with Tunic today, but
Secrets,
it's
you guys.
slated for console release, and there's this thing by this company that we all know and love where you can put it in a thing and then take it in another place.
I've never ever heard of any company that makes a handheld device that plays games. Which one is it?
The Nintendo Switch.
Oh, that one. Yeah, God bless all y'all on the damn Nintendo Switch. Yeah, so we love it. Obviously, whether it's coming to the Switch or not, I have no comment. Partly, we haven't made a console announcement for either Overland or Tunic. Do we love the Switch? Yes. Will it come there eventually? Maybe.
When it's ready.
Who knows?
When the time comes.
Does it run? I don't know. I already did a port for the Switch on Night in the Woods, and it was a hell of a project. So until things are like optimized and finished, and what am I dealing with, and like we don't know kind of what console. Do I have a single first console? Maybe. Have I announced it? No. Will I? Yes.
Now, that being said, given your recent port of Night in the Woods to Switch, that's actually where I played it myself.
Oh, such a good place to play it.
Have you gotten a lot of feedback with it on that platform specifically?
Yeah, it's actually been really interesting because I knew I needed to come to the Switch. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to run it on the Switch just because like we're in Unity and like you have to optimize a lot, and we're like, I don't know, how is it even doing? Like a lot of people are pretty opaque about numbers and stuff, so we're like, well, we are riding on a little bit of extra cash, so let's just get it out because I need y'all to stop emailing me or shouting in our DMs or whatever about it being on my Facebook pages to bring it to the Switch. So we were able to afford a port, and all we wanted to do was like pay back the port. Actually did really well, but the coolest thing that came out of it was people started talking about the game and the type of game it was in the way that they were playing it, specifically on a very personal level with the Switch.
Yeah.
So people that are outside of our company started referring to playing on the Switch as their cozy. It's their cozy console, which is super like. And you don't hear cozy in games, like, and it's like normal gamers saying like, no, my Switch
But on no other platform would you be able to
Switch
play
is
it in a
cozy.
beanbag.
Yeah, and your jams in bed.
On a train.
Especially with something like Night in the Woods, where it's so personal.
Very personal.
People have like a lot of nostalgia, like they have a lot of like visceral reactions to like the way May interacts with our family. That is an amazing thing. Sorry, I got less cosplayers.
Oh.
That's so cool. I love that. I was like, oh, it's so great. What came out of it is people started using a term that we talk about internally in the way they talk about playing their Switch, which is really, it's fascinating. It's like this weird crossover, super powerful handheld thing. It's interesting if you talk to people like, do you only play it in handheld or do you hook it up to your TV? And some people don't hook it up to their television.
I did it both ways, and it's funny how you can actually experience certain segments. Like once I realized I got to the third act, I was like, I have to dock this. I got to make sure I got the sound and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me see here. Sorry. Our site adores it. We're a bunch of millennials. It resonates a lot with millennials, and obviously, so. When you guys took to distributing Night in the Woods, did you expect it to have that resonating power with people?
So we weren't part of the initial Kickstarter outside of like we vetted it for our friends.
Yep.
And I remember seeing the trailer the very first time before it was like even a Kickstarter. Alec had sent it over to us because he's been a friend for a long time. And I just remember thinking like, my God, they're making a game for me. Like everything about the music and the colors and the art. And like nobody makes a game for at that point I was like a 34-year-old mom of 2 or whatever. I'm like, nobody makes a game for me. I'm not a demographic. And then we sort of took that out. And once we had a demo and everything, we started showing it around. And like I would have, dudes in Slipknot shirts laughing their asses off at like a PlayStation experience, just playing the demo. And then I would have like women drag their boyfriends over, again, sitting down, and the boyfriends are going like, no, this is really good. And it's like, yes, it has a cat. Yes, it's a cartoon. But it's like, it's barely not rated M. Barely.
not.
And it's because we don't curse. If I dropped an F-bomb in there, we'd be out.
Yeah.
It talks about real things, and it does so with honesty and humor. And like, I knew what they were making because I've taken it everywhere.
Sure.
But like the team were like, it's just not going to do well. Like 2 months before launch, Scott was like soliciting for contract work on Twitter, and I'm like, take that shit down, you don't need it. And he's like, no, I really do. It's not going to make. I'm like, I promise, trust me, this is going to do fine. And like, I am like the biggest Debbie Downer on everything. I'm like, you cross your T's and dot your I's.
But when you got artists in your life, you got to support them in that way.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I knew that it was going to resonate. Did I expect sort of like the wide range? No, but I did expect to at least do well. But that's because I have seen the responses. And I only play first-person shooters, and they'll play the game and love it. I only, play strategy, and they play the game and love it. The only people who told me they didn't love it were, I'm not kidding, people who told me they didn't like to read. Like, fair game. You're good, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not into it, then you're not into that. That's certainly. There's been a lot of talk recently about game development unionization. We've talked about it ourselves. It's a topic that comes up sometimes. We have notes that say like you guys have policies that support quality of life, significant revenue shares for team members, and has that impacted any development on any of the teams that you've worked with in any way, positive or negative?
Well, there's a thing that there's like a mutual in our relationship, there's mutual respect. Like, I value my collaborators as developers, and I refuse to let them destroy their lives for a game. And if there's a question of money, I will find money. I will find a way to fund it. If we need to delay something, I will figure out a way to do this. Like, I will send out my spider web of whatever, and I will come up with something to ensure that we don't die. And like, we made some mistakes with like Night in the Woods, where we came in real hot, but for the mental health of the team, they needed to finish the game. And like, we made a lot of concessions, and it took us like quite a long time to recover from it. But like, we worked normal hours on Overland, And if it takes me longer to get done, at least we're alive at the end of it and happy. I want to make another game. I want my collaborators to make another game. I don't want to burn out. The hell would I burn out making video games? That's insane. And same thing like with
Imagine.
Tunic. I know, right? Same thing with Tunic. Like the reason we make games is because it's more important for us to make them than play them. And like that's a special kind of crazy.
It's a specific kind of thing that's entirely different than playing a game.
Imagine burning out on the thing you're most passionate about. Like that reality is so devastating for me.
It's crushing.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
like yes, we support quality of life. We don't ask questions if people need to take time off. Like even my like new community manager, it's just like, man, if you want to go on vacation, just go. Like just get all your stuff lined up and peace. Let me know when you're back. Work decent hours. If you don't want to work during the day, you need to pick up some hours at night. I don't care. Flex time. If I find out though that you're working all your weekends, we're gonna have a chat. 'Cause I'm not gonna tolerate it. I take my weekends off. I go to the beach with my kids. I just take my cell phone with me. If you need me, call me. I'm at the beach. And that's like a really nice way just to have like you respect my time and I respect yours, and we're gonna make something amazing together. That doesn't say we don't oftentimes do work sprints. We do, but they're like 48 hours. We like do 2 days where we work 13 hours. It's just like that's not crunching.
No, but it sounds like it's a step in the right direction away from sleeping under your desk 15 nights in a row.
No.
Yeah.
When Night in the Woods came out, I was testing it. I got to GDC last year and I had slept in a bed in like 12 days because like I was testing the game overnight. We would get a build, I would test it all night long, and then pass it off to what was wrong with it. Then they would develop it during the day. I would sleep on the couch or wherever because I was also taking care of my kids at the time, and then I would start the testing again overnight. And then we went right into that to Train Jam, to GDC, and by the time I got to GDC, I was like, we were renting a hotel, I'm not staying at a friend's house. I love you all, I gotta get like a real bed. And that was dumb. Like, that was insane, that was stupid, that was dangerous, don't do it. And like that's not like we live like no, it's stupid. Like I forever have to answer to why I allowed my team to do that. And that's like a burden I have to carry as like an adult. That was not okay. And like that's for all of us as well, everybody on the team, because I didn't push them to that. It was we were there and we did something dumb and it worked, but it was stupid and dangerous. And I won't do it again. Like there's no way I would ever allow my teams to do that again.
And I think I just have one more thing. Is there any takeaway that specifically here at PAX that people have had coming to visit you guys at the booth here?
I always have the fun reaction of like, wow, everything here is so beautiful. What is it? Which is always my favorite response because I'm like, it implies I have bad taste. I was like, no, I have great taste. My stuff is really pretty and it's also really fun. So like, we're small. You probably don't know who we are. But like we make really, really smart games. Like some of my designers are some of the best indie designers kind of like around. Like a lot of them have sort of like weird pedigrees of like making the first endless auto runner. Like Cannibal is like a person who works on one of these games. Like I don't know, especially in the indie space. Like we are the ones that are allowed to break genre and break a lot of rules.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to sort of go around and play a lot of indie games because we are taking chances on a lot of things that like are not proven by the market. So like give us a chance. Like we make really cool stuff.
Cool. Well, I'll let you get back to it. We appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
And we wish you a happy PAX.
Oh, day 2.
Day 2.
It's more like day 9,000.
Thousands.
Yeah. I was actually
of
real quick. I was telling a friend, I was like, yeah, so at the end of PAX, I just leave a part of my soul behind. Just fucking haunts this convention center.
I think everybody kind of does. That turns into like the sweat
next
year.
I leave a part of myself behind at all these convention centers just to fucking haunt the building until I come back.
That's 2 interviews that we've done this weekend about ghosts.
Oh man, I'll fucking haunt this place.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys, and please check out Overland when it comes out, and also Night in the Woods, which you can get on like literally every platform right now. Peace.